My ex-wife showed up at our divorce hearing, visibly pregnant, clearly believing it would secure her a huge settlement, until the judge asked one simple question. Have you ever seen someone's expression crumble as their own lie destroys them?
I have.
I'll never forget that moment. It was like watching a slow-motion accident you can't look away from. For this story, I'll call her Mara. She's 34, I'm 36. Our marriage lasted 5 years, which now feels 5 years too long given how it ended. For a year, she had stalled the divorce at every turn. Forms lost, signatures missing, sudden panic attacks always timed perfectly just before a hearing, last-minute hospital visits that conveniently resolved after the court date. She had a tactic for everything. That morning, she entered the courtroom 8 months pregnant, radiating the smug confidence of someone about to perform a show-stopping act. She wore a pricey, perfectly wrinkled maternity dress, rested a hand on her belly like a prop, and was flanked by her lawyer and her mother, who whispered things like, "Stay calm. You deserve justice." She wanted an audience. The judge, court clerks, attorneys, strangers waiting for their cases. What she didn't want was the question that would unravel her plan. 6 months earlier, we had a heated argument. Books flew. Voices raised. I grabbed my keys to leave, knowing the conversation was about to escalate. Instead of cooling down, she called the police, claiming I threatened her. Completely false. The next day, she appeared before a judge, tears fake enough to hiccup, insisting she feared for her life. She was granted a restraining order immediately, 500 feet of distance and no contact, not even a text. My lawyer told me to comply, and I did, meticulously. I had timestamps, receipts, GPS logs, even security footage proving I stayed miles away. What she overlooked was the way courts document everything. Every violation, every interaction leaves a record. And that record is exactly what ruined her. Back in the courtroom, the moment Mara sat down, everyone understood her intent. Her lawyer whispered about emotional distress and financial security, her mother dabbed her eyes, and Mara rubbed her belly, like the baby inside was making a case for her. She probably imagined the judge would tear up the prenup immediately. The judge, a woman in her 50s with glasses perched halfway down her nose, scanned the documents and asked casually, "Miss Harlow, your filing indicates this child was conceived 4 months ago. Is that correct?" Mara nodded confidently. "Yes, Your Honor." The judge continued, flipping through the files. "And the restraining order you requested is still active, correct?" Mara nodded again. "Yes." Then the judge delivered the question that froze the room. If he was legally required to stay 500 feet away at all times for the past 6 months, and you avoided all contact, how is this child conceived? You could hear the air leave the room. First her eyes widened, then her lips parted, then her mother froze. Her lawyer exhaled slowly, watching his case crumble. The judge added, "Records show no violations of the restraining order. So either your timeline is false, or your original claims were fabricated. Which is it?" Mara tried to speak. All that came out sounded like choking. The judge leaned back and said, "Please explain." She couldn't. She stammered and blinked until her lawyer asked for a recess. When they returned, the judge ruled the restraining order fraudulent. The pregnancy had no legal connection to me, and the prenup remained intact. Mara was referred for investigation over her false claims. I walked out with nothing owed, no support, no fabricated story, and watched her collapse in disbelief. Her plan fell apart because she forgot the one thing she never should have. The court keeps meticulous records. Afterward, Mara didn't give up. If anything, she intensified her attempts to manipulate me. Texts started subtly, then grew desperate. Guilt, fear, invisible threats if I didn't respond. She even sat outside my apartment once, staring through the window. I followed my lawyer's advice. No response, no engagement. She tried legal angles too, filing for child support, hoping DNA would drag me back in. Tests proved the child wasn't mine. She argued, but the court wouldn't bend. Every attempt to guilt, manipulate, or frame herself as a victim failed because I remembered the courtroom, the moment her lies backfired. I refused to give her that power again. She even tried staged encounters in public, smiling too brightly in grocery stores or cafes. I walked away, avoided eye contact, left the store if necessary. Over time, the harassment faded. Nothing she did could drag me back into her chaos. I rebuilt my life. Quiet mornings, peaceful weekends, boundaries I refused to compromise. Eventually, I stopped thinking about Mara entirely. Not because I forgot her, but because I realized something important. Walking away isn't weakness, it's clarity. Her story wasn't mine to carry. Her failures were hers alone. I had my freedom, my dignity, my life. Friends would sometimes report she was still scheming, but it didn't reach me. I had already won. The final lesson: lies may give someone a moment on stage, but truth always writes the ending. And I had a front row seat.